This is the MaxM Reviews video review for the ThiEYE Action Camera. The camera itself is a great camera, and here's some test footage. So this is first the ThiEYE Action Camera and a GoPro Hero 4 Black. It's not a fair comparison, but it shows you the differences between the camera. So looking at this, we'll start off with the ThiEYE. We're looking at some ice, and then you switch to the GoPro. The field of view is much wider. You can notice the zoom with the ThiEYE that's naturally built in. It has a manual zoom with buttons on the side, and because of its fisheye, it has another zoom built in that way. Has less severe of a fisheye than something like a GoPro, but in this stance I would like a severe fisheye for capturing everything around me. Looking at the bricks, you'll notice the ThiEYE has a little better color, has a little more saturation, a little more depth, whereas the GoPro is a little more washed out and would require some correction within to edit the video to make it look better. The ThiEYE is ready to go out of the box, which is what I really enjoy about the camera. It's fun to use, and the screen on the back is really useful for knowing exactly what you're shooting, something that a GoPro doesn't offer in this price range. Now looking at this color correction, you'll notice the colors look a little darker with the ThiEYE, and with the GoPro you get the full range of colors, whereas with the ThiEYE you see the colors but they're not as perfect as with the GoPro. That's to be expected. However, with the GoPro you can color correct to make sure the colors all look good, and with the ThiEYE, when you try to do this, the colors get washed out and it doesn't work as well. So for professional work, I would not recommend the ThiEYE. Now looking at this wall here, or this fence rather, you'll notice that the ThiEYE has a heavy zoom on it. I'm not using any of the zooms built in, this is just the camera itself. Whereas when you switch to the GoPro, you notice you can see a little more than the ThiEYE. But the ThiEYE is pretty nice if you're looking at the screen. This really helps. This is actually better than the GoPro to have that zoom and see much closer thanks to that lens. Now looking at this tree, you'll notice that the ThiEYE has it a little more washed out than the GoPro. The GoPro adds a little bit of depth to the shot, whereas the ThiEYE takes a little longer to saturate and compromise for all the different changes in colors. Looking at this tree, you'll see once again the zoom, and that's the number one thing you're going to notice with this camera, is that the zoom is heavy. Even if you use the manual zoom built in, it's just optical zoom, so it's just going to ruin your picture quality the more you zoom in. But it looks pretty good given what it has. If you look at the description of my review, you'll also see some more photos, and be sure to check those out. Looking at this, you'll notice the red is actually much better in the ThiEYE than it is on the GoPro. The GoPro is a little more washed out, and the ThiEYE is more true to life. Once again, looking at ice, you'll notice the GoPro has a little brighter, but the ThiEYE is much darker and much more vivid, whereas the GoPro, you'll notice little details, and the ThiEYE really doesn't picture those as much because it's a little more grainy. Looking at this brick, you'll notice there's a compromise between the brick and then the scenery, whereas the ThiEYE just goes for the scenery and tones out the brick. The GoPro shows both of them.